When repairing a pole light that has fallen due to rust and the existing anchor bolts are unusable, it is possible to use Underwriters Laboratories or all approved epoxy to anchor new bolts in the concrete base. Always consult the manufacturer's instructions and local built-in codes before attempting any repairs. One product that can be used is Hilti HHE 500V3 epoxy adhesive. The process involves several steps. Firstly, prepare the base. Clean the concrete base thoroughly to remove any dirt, debris, or loose material. Drill new holes for the anchor bolts according to the manufacturer's specifications. Roughen the inside of the holes using a wire brush or diamond bit to ensure proper adhesion. Secondly, prepare the epoxy. Follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully for mixing the epoxy components. Proper mixing is crucial for the epoxy to achieve its intended strength and bonding capabilities. Thirdly, install the anchor bolts. Dip the bolts into the epoxy and insert them into the holes. Make sure the bolts are fully seated and flush with the concrete surface. This ensures that the pole light will be securely attached to the base. Fourthly, cure the epoxy. Allow the epoxy to cure according to the manufacturer's instructions. The curing time can vary depending on the ambient temperature and humidity. Do not disturb the bolts during the curing process. Fifthly, attach the pole. Once the epoxy is fully cured, you can reattach the pole light to the base using the new anchor bolts. Ensure that all connections are secure and properly tightened. There are additional considerations to keep in mind. Ensure that the concrete base is sound and not compromised by cracks or damage. If the concrete is damaged, it may need to be repaired or replaced before installing the new anchor bolts. Use anchor bolts that are the appropriate size and type for the pole and base. The bolts should be strong enough to support the weight of the pole light and withstand wind loads. Follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully for both the epoxy and the pole light installation. This will help to ensure that the repair is done correctly and safely. If you are not comfortable performing this repair yourself, it is recommended to contact a qualified electrician or contractor. Working with electricity and heavy objects can be dangerous, so it is important to take precautions and seek professional help if needed. When selecting an epoxy, look for one that is specifically designed for anchoring applications. These epoxies typically have high bond strength and are resistant to chemicals and moisture. The Hilti HIT 500 V3 is a popular choice for this type of application because it is UL approved and has a proven track record of performance. Before starting the repair, be sure to disconnect the power to the pole light. This will help to prevent electrical shock. Wear appropriate safety gear, such as gloves and eye protection, when working with epoxy. Avoid getting epoxy on your skin or in your eyes. If you do get epoxy on your skin, wash it off immediately with soap and water. If you get epoxy in your eyes, flush them with water for 15 minutes and seek medical attention. When drilling holes for the anchor bolts, be careful not to damage any underground utilities. Call your local utility companies to have them mark the location of any buried lines before you start drilling. Use a drill bit that is the correct size for the anchor bolts. If the holes are too small, the bolts will be difficult to insert. If the holes are too large, the bolts will not be secure. When mixing the epoxy, follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. Use the correct ratio of resin to hardener. Mix the epoxy thoroughly until it is a uniform color and consistency. Apply the epoxy to the holes and the anchor bolts immediately after mixing. The epoxy will start to harden quickly, so you need to work fast. Insert the anchor bolts into the holes and twist them to ensure that they are fully seated. Remove any excess epoxy from around the bolts. Allow the epoxy to cure for the amount of time specified by the manufacturer. Do not disturb the bolts during the curing process. Once the epoxy is fully cured, you can attach the pole light to the base. Use the correct hardware to attach the pole light to the bolts. Tighten the hardware securely. After the pole light is installed, inspect it carefully to ensure that it is stable and secure. If you notice any problems, such as loose bolts or cracks in the concrete, repair them immediately. Regularly inspect the pole light for signs of damage or wear. Repair any problems promptly to prevent further damage or accidents. By following these steps, you can safely and effectively repair a pole light that has fallen due to rust. Using UL-approved epoxy to anchor new bolts is a reliable way to restore the pole light to its original condition. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician or contractor if you are not comfortable performing the repair yourself. Safety should be your top priority.